You talk about organisation, Tottenham were well organised. There's no two ways about it. They were just coming into us. They knew we took it to them. We didn't go there passive. We expected them to take it to us. If you won on the day, hands up. If you lost on the day, that's it. And I took that motto. Whatever happens, happens, right the way through my life.
Any particular point during the 70s where it did come on top for you though, where you actually look back and think,
Come on, top proper.
yeah, proper on top, as they say. Welcome back to the Webby and O'Neill channel, and this is the Manchester United fan culture series looking through the eyes of Tony O'Neill. We're going to be purely focusing on Tottenham and Manchester United away days down there in London. Now, this is an actual fixture that you've discussed with me many of a time, that this is your favourite away day. So, yeah, take me back to the 70s and why this was your favourite away day.
It had everything, and I mean everything. For a young lad going there, first game, 1972, hitchhiking it down there. I'm telling you now, if I had a chance, I'd go back to the 70s going down there. It gave me such a thrill and a buzz. What a ground, what an area, what fan base down there. It had everything. And for the United fans going down there, each year was absolutely different. It kept changing in front of my eyes. Gave me everything. Actually gave me good hidings as well.
I was actually going to ask you what was the atmosphere like travelling down to White Hart Lane, but I think you've just described it in a few words there. But try and give us a little bit more detail. What was the first time like for you travelling down to Tottenham, and what was the specific year, if you can remember that?
Well, it was 1972, and on the estate, the lads who I was with, they were all excited. Tottenham, big name, big club. Always has been, always been a big name, always been a big attraction, and we wanted to go. Away we went, itched it, got down there, got to Euston. Thousands of United fans, just thousands of United fans. It was just like, I was just caught up in a mad rush. I can't really fully explain it, but I'll try to the best of my ability. All singing, cheering, everything like that. And as a young lad, it was great to be mixed up. And it was just one huge mob. And I mean huge mob. This is the Red Army, 1972. And getting to the ground and that, I just looked around me. I looked at the estate. I looked at the road, the long road from Seven Sisters. It was just like full of United fans going down there. This is wild. It was just something completely different. Whether that was the atmosphere of the fans and that, being a young lad, I'm not too sure. But it just gave me such a buzz. It never, ever left me. And I mean right through, not just the 70s, right through to today. I've always enjoyed and would never miss it. All the people I was meeting, but it was packed every time I went. It was absolutely ram-packed in the 70s, and it had its own aura, not just in the ground, but outside as well. Proper working man's area, and a dangerous area. The excitement that first time was unbelievable, and it's never, ever left me.
Yeah, I've talked about hitching it to other away grounds in previous episodes. Is this a fixture that you'd actually travel and hitch it on the day, or would you do it the night before?
No, I loved itching it, because each time I went, I wanted to get there. I wanted to be there early, and the only way to get there early, because I didn't want to miss anything, because anything could happen. You know, each year, like I say, it changed, and there was always something, happening, something new. I would always itch it, and I itched it till I was about 17, to be honest with you, down to Tottenham, even though I could have got the special or any other mode of transport. But I just loved itching it to get there, because I knew what was there. I just knew the buzz was there as soon as I got there. Yes, it's hard work, itching it. We know that you're rough, you're dirty. Sometimes you're like, you don't even want to be there. But once you get there and it's Tottenham, it just had an aura of its own, special, unique to me in the 70s. Some big lads and everything else like that. But they were football fans. I just remember going with this huge mob from Euston down there, and I was just following the crowd, and we just got on the high street, got down there through the tube, and I got on the high street, and this mob was just massive, all marching down there, singing, running. It was just tremendous, and I didn't see any trouble. It was just like a massive United fans, the Red Army in full flow, and it was in full flow. Get to the ground, and it's like United fans everywhere, all trying to pile in and everything. But getting in the ground in 1972, I don't know if anyone was there, any memories of it, but it was so packed. You was in like sardines, and I don't just mean the United fans. And that's what gave it something special for me. It was the Tottenham fans. They were all packed in. You know, you look into your right and the shelves there, and it's like they're all packed in everywhere. Everyone's crammed in.
What's the atmosphere like? Can you remember it that day, or even just through the 70s in general, the atmosphere at White Hart Lane?
The atmosphere was always good. It was always high octane. It's like a powder keg
Mm.
inside, outside the ground. Going to it, it was just an atmosphere of its own, and that's why it was always my favourite ground. You know, I just look at it outside and I think to myself, people used to just run around and desperate to get in and all that. 1972, first one there. In 1973, the second time I went, it was like exactly the same. You know, just thousands of United fans. You know, and like just want to get in the ground to watch Manchester United and Tottenham. There was no thought anywhere, not from my part or anyone what I was with or anything at any time, of violence, having a fight and all that. It was the game, the Red Army and Tottenham fans, working class people. It was fantastic.
Was this also a fixture maybe with it being in London? You've mentioned this before, that London's always a place where Manchester United fans have enjoyed themselves, and with it being in London, White Hart Lane, more of the wider fan base at Manchester United actually going to them games, so you're meeting different fans when you're actually playing the fixtures in London.
Well, when you go to London, like you're there early and that, you're meeting United fans from all over. And like I say, people describe it as the Red Army. In 72, 73, it was the Red Army. And you know, you're meeting people, you're getting together. There's a different thing. But no one could stop this Red Army. I don't care what anyone says. Come to a weekend, and especially in London, no one could stop it.
Why is that?
Well, if you've got hundreds, possibly 1,000 people at 6:30, all congregating at Euston Station, there's nothing you can do, you know. And right throughout the 70s, you know, they congregated at Euston, and there was never anyone coming to challenge the Red Army, you know, in a looking for a fight. They always sort of like tended, when you went to London, if there was any trouble, they say you were at Tottenham or, you know, any other club, they'd congregate in and around their own stadium and that, waiting for us to turn up, because you could not, and I don't care what anyone says, this army, and that's what it was, you couldn't take it on. People hated it. There was just thousands,
Yeah.
you know. So you couldn't turn up to Euston, right, try to take a liberty with the United fan, because you just didn't know how many was there. You couldn't get enough people. I don't care who you were.
But even by the sounds of it, if you've got like huge numbers, a mob, what people might call it, you know, especially if you've got like 700 to 1,000 people all marching on a street bouncing. I mean, there could be little skirmishes even at the back if you're at the front or in the middle and not really know about it.
Well, it's the funny thing. It's like, I mentioned 72, 73. It was just like gates open at the end of the game, and everyone rushed out, and this stream of bodies just kept running up the road. And I remember being on the high street first time I was there, going back to the tube station, because I've got to get the special train, jump on it, sneak on it, as they say. And I'm just looking back, and it was just like right down the road. But the thing is, they could have been fighting at the back. They could have been fighting halfway down out of a side street, Tottenham fans trying to attack, but you couldn't see it. But my recollection is just this huge army, and it was impressive. But that was part of the buzz. I just remember the gates opening and everyone just charging out. No hesitation, just straight out there.
The thing is, we've discussed obviously away games like Newcastle, especially the Leeds one. With like the likes of Leeds, it's a big topic. It's a discussion for United fans heading to their grounds because you know what's waiting for you.
Yeah.
Was this a fixture that was similar to that amongst Manchester United fans, that there was also that sort of fear in certain instances that, you know, things could happen to fans? Or
No, there was no fear at Tottenham. No, any time I've been, there was no fear. People looked forward to going. But as time went on through the 70s, things changed. 72, 73. Yeah, I'm describing it as like this mass of people, fearless. And like I said, there could have been bits of trouble, but there wasn't huge amounts of trouble, what I could see. So at the end of the day, fear, no, Tottenham never feared me. I love going. I absolutely love going, and I miss it. Tottenham looked forward to it. It was a massive game, massive game in the calendar. I look at the rivalry between Spurs and Arsenal, what they've got, and I used to look at it as a kid, and that's what excited me, thinking this is a big fixture, go to Spurs. And when you got there, you weren't disappointed.
Was this a fixture as well where Manchester United fans, when they got into London, you know, that they'd have their own spots where they'd be having a drink in pubs, etc., or would it just be United fans on the march in and around London kind of thing?
Well, people hung around. You'd always get the signal, and the signal it generally was when the first special comes in. That's when you go down. That's when everyone just goes running and follows the special. And like I say, there could be 1,000, it may be even more, possibly more, waiting for this special. And what people would be doing, they'd be just drinking in and around Euston and that. So it was virtually a Man United area. But that brought its difficulties for any London clubs who would have actually getting trains. And this was part of the excitement. You know, you might have, say, Arsenal getting on Euston or trying to get on Euston to get their train to wherever they were going, if they were going to the Midlands or something like that. But that brought its own excitement because United fans would try and stop Arsenal fans. I'm using Arsenal fans as an example, okay? So any London clubs trying to get on Euston to get their trains came up against it because United fans were waiting and they were prepared. And that was just part and parcel of what went on. And to be honest, no one could stop what was going on.
Yeah, you've mentioned the detail there about the first times going to Tottenham, 72, 73, so you're roughly 14 and 15 years of age. But take us through the later part of the 1970s. You mentioned about things always changing when you went to Tottenham. So give us a bit of a level, a bit of detail of what you were seeing change over that period of time.
Well, I remember the year we went down. It certainly changed. There was violence before the game. No trouble. There couldn't be any trouble because of the amount of United fans there. But I just remember being inside the ground at the end, ready to come out. And it was like, there was a mass of people outside. And like I say, anyone what knows Tottenham, right outside when you come out from the away section, it's just a small, I would call it an alleyway compared to like a big road, but it's thin. And it was just full of Tottenham, just full of Tottenham. And I just remember, my God, you can't go out there, but everyone knew you couldn't go out there. At some point, you had to go out there. Oh my God. You just all went together straight out into this street and stood there. And what it is, as you come out of the away end at Tottenham, always the same until like the change of the ground now, but you come out and the shelf is to your left, and then just 50 yards to your right is the corner. Well, you're like in a bottleneck, in a trap, and my God, they was fighting. But United stood the ground and fought them off. There was plenty of United. They were always going to do that. But that was the first sort of change, what I seen. And the violence, it just like hand-to-hand fighting. And the more and more people what came out of the ground, more and more United fans what came out of the ground, the more and more they pushed Tottenham back from the main road and from the left-hand side. But the danger of that is if you come out and go to your right, it's always what's behind you. So you always have to be with people. And the numbers game did work for United because they were protected by the numbers behind you. You didn't have to worry because there was more and more United fans coming out, and Tottenham fans, there was nothing they could do, and there was nothing they could do to the right. So it was a numbers game. I remember talking in the previous episode, the government had got involved and all that as time went on in the mid-70s, right throughout the country, trying to restrict the numbers of supporters from certain groups, United, Chelsea, Leeds, teams like that. With United, that was happening at Tottenham. But the thing is, there was too many United fans, and it led to one serious incident which wasn't planned, and that was actually going in the shelf, and that was unplanned, to be honest. I know people might have heard the story about United going in there in the shelf and attacking the shelf, trying to take it on, but that wasn't the case. That wasn't the reason why United fans went in there. They couldn't get in the ground, and I was outside me, and there was lots of lads outside, and the decision was made, come on, we need to get in.
What year was this?
I think it was around about 76, 77, could have been 77. And I just remember being outside with all the lads and like with loads of other people who I didn't know, and the gates were shutting. And I just remember specifically two lads, George Lyons and Dave Willis. They were older than me and that, and they went, "Come on, we've got to get round there." Well, getting round there is the shelf, and it's their end. And believe you me, in 1977, I did not want to go in that shelf because I already knew what it was like. This is a violent place now. It's not like the early days of me going there. I didn't want to go in. But the thing is, that was that was the consensus by everyone. We need to get in, and that's the whole idea. Got to get in the ground. And with United fans and with that many in that, you've got to get in. So off we went round the corner, several hundred of us. And I just remember getting round and getting to the turnstile, and people were just diving over. You know, there was no paying. There was no plan at all of once we got in, because I didn't know where I was going to be going, and nor did anyone else. So when we've got over the turnstiles and got in, there was like stairways to go up. I just remember just running up these stairs, me, and thinking, where am I going? I don't even know where I'm going. But people were just running in different directions. Anyway, I followed a few lads up there, and we're all getting up there because we want to watch the game. That was the purpose. You know, we didn't intend to go in there. Anyway, we gets up there, but everyone's split up. This isn't a mob. I must emphasise that. This isn't a mob of lads going up there to stick together. But obviously, I gets up there and see a few United fans, and we're mainly to the left hand. We're up on the shelf, and we're to the left. And there's a few United fans there, but there's United fans scattered all over. But it's packed. And then the inevitable happened.
And what was that?
Well, they just got smashed, didn't they?
Yeah.
Just got smashed. You didn't actually see a mob of United fans getting smashed. You just seen people running. But what happened before, it was like, not frightening. It was a sound I'd never heard before. And you had like wooden floors, you know, like sleepers, what you have at the trains. That's how it felt. And this, you just heard like a train rushing through. But it was a stampede of feet coming across the shelf to where they thought there was a mob of United fans. They knew United fans were there, and they just come across from where they were stood at the back. I couldn't actually see how many Tottenham was coming or how many United or anything. And then there just seemed to be a scramble and the bodies moving and that. But it was difficult to move, even though there was arms and legs flying about and the odd person flying in the air and that, because that's what it was. But I didn't know who it was. So I've ended up just standing there assessing the situation, and there was people just diving out, trying to get out, because they weren't together. The intention wasn't to be together, to go in there as a fight, and they couldn't fight because they weren't together. So people quickly got out of there. Those what kept their mouth shut, what stood there, probably stayed there. I stayed there. I didn't have any worries because I was just like wanting to watch the game, like most people at the time, even though there was quite a few lads in there what went in the shelf that day, but they didn't go in as a mob.
Yeah, after that particular game in 1977, did things between United and Tottenham escalate after that incident, do you feel? Did things get a bit more organised between both sets of fans, or mobs, what people might say?
No, listen, it escalated after this incident in the shelf.
Yeah.
This was organised now. Tottenham were organised. They'd been organised for a while, like most teams in there. When restrictions started to come in, the away supporters, if you was going away or you was at home, you was getting more organised. It was completely different than the early 70s. Every team was organised now, the fan groups and that. So I just remember, you talk about organisation, Tottenham were well organised. There's no two ways about it. I remember at some point making the decision to climb down myself to get in there because that was the safety. I wanted to be with my pals. I knew after the game, Tottenham would be organised and that would have to be together for our own safety because you're going back to Houston and you needed to be together. And I just remember it. And it was like, gets in there and it was like people are just talking about coming out. How's it going to be? Because you've already experienced, you know they're going to be there. But they're not just going to be there. They're going to be all the way down Seven Sisters. They're going to be on the estates and everything else like that. And they're going to wait for you. And it's a tough time. And anyone who's experienced that in the late 70s, going down there, Seven Sisters, the High Street, or anywhere around there, you're getting attacked. Tottenham were organised, and they were a proper tough bunch of lads. There's no two ways about it. And very violent place. It turned into a right nasty place for everybody.
Yeah, well, looking back then, compared to other grounds that you actually went to away to watch United, what was probably the differences between Tottenham's mobs compared to other mobs around the country? Was it the layout around the grounds? What might have made things difficult for fans? Just give me a little bit of a taster of what differences you actually had between other sets of
I think
fans.
it was the fans. They seemed more clued up, more on board, more working class, more on sort of like our level. They knew why they were there. This is the way it is. This is what we're doing. And they got organised like everyone else got organised. They were no different than any other large group of lads what had grown up from 12, 13 onwards. Many teams didn't come to Old Trafford in the early 70s. Very few teams did. Maybe in a cup game, that's different. But they were organised, Tottenham, and they got more organised as they went on, not just at home, away games and that. Obviously, they had the moments and that going away. They had the trouble and everything else. But coming to Old Trafford was a different thing, you know what I mean? They had to be proper organised, you know what I mean?
With the numbers of the actual, like you call it, the Red Army, you're talking sometimes there's several hundred, 1,000 United fans. What would the numbers be like amongst Tottenham fans at their ground or even away grounds? Does it always come back to where you think, yeah, massive mob?
This is the thing at Tottenham, you could never judge how many they were because they were on your left when you come out. They were on your right. They were down the street. They were in another side street. They were everywhere. They were inside the estate. This was like, no matter where you went, as the 70s went on, this was like Tottenham everywhere. You had to battle. And I mean, battle to get to Seven Sisters and to get to Euston. Once you was at Euston, you was fine, but you was having to fight. United fans weren't daft, you know what I mean? They understood the game was, and the game was stick together, take it on, and face it. And that's what United fans did. And they had to face it at Tottenham. And Tottenham, I've spoke to lots of Tottenham fans and they've spoke to me. They always loved United coming down there because United would always face it. When the Red Army travelled, they knew what they were going to get. But Tottenham, they loved it. They couldn't wait for United to come down there because they knew where they'd be. They'd be across the road. And I mean, in side streets. I mean, I've had everything done to me there at Tottenham. I've been jailed through Tottenham, been nicked and everything. Been on the floor. Like I say, I've been in the shelf. And I just described it there. But it was a proper frightening time.
Yeah,
You know
so
what I mean?
is it times there where you've been to Tottenham and it's not been a good experience amongst the rest of the fans where you've enjoyed that day out where, you've come on the losing side of it?
Listen, I've enjoyed Tottenham every time I went there. And I've come out on the losing side.
And still enjoyed the actual day?
That was part of the fun. Everyone out there will tell you, those people what went in the 70s, that was part of the fun. You know what I mean? Getting involved in the fight. And if you hadn't come away with a smash in the mouth or something like that, kick up the ass, kicking your bollocks, right? Then,
You've not had a good day out.
You've not had a good day out. And I always say this, and a lot of people who are taught to my age and everything else like that, football in the 70s wasn't about 90 minutes football. If it was about 90 minutes football, our age group wouldn't have gone because there was no fun. There's no fun in it, and Tottenham was always fun. It was always dangerous. It gave you everything.
Is there anything that you can remember about any particular point during the 70s where it did come on top for you, though, where you actually look back and think,
Come on, top proper.
yeah, proper on top, as they say?
I remember 1979 now. You've got to bear with me on this. I'm laughing now, and I've always laughed at it, right? Where we got a good kick in. But it was so funny from start to finish. It was unbelievable. And it was 1979. It was the League Cup game early on in the season.
This at White Hart Lane, yeah?
Yeah, but it's a night game. And I've explained to you, in the 70s, a night game was completely different. You was fined before the game. That's just the way it was. That's just the way it was. I can't fully explain it.
Always the calm before the storm.
It's always the calm before the storm. And that's the giggle about it, because you just knew.
Yeah.
But at Tottenham, you knew, and they were proper organised, waiting for their chance. And their chance was after the game. It's as simple as that. Coming out. And like I say, you've got to go to the right. Well, that's a bottleneck. Got to the corner where the bottleneck is. And I think we got another 20 yards. Just got smashed. Now, to be truthful about it, there must have been about 90, maybe 120 lads from United. Mainly Manx, to be honest with you, because we're going back to Houston. And I just remember 20 yards. Harry Hamilton's there, you know, got young lads from Wythenshawe who were actually doing the same thing as me when I was a younger lad. They were following. These kids got their education, right? Proper bang on it there, right? These kids at one point were screaming. It was funny, right? But they come from every angle, from every corner on that bottleneck there. And they just come at us. And the police just couldn't control it. And I just remember managing to get across the road. And I was so lucky to get across the road. But we've moved in a group. And then next thing you know, they were just coming into us, like my pal, Harry Hamilton. He's getting dragged off by the coppers because we're all fighting. And I mean proper fighting in the street, in a circle. And it's hands, everything. They're coming from behind, they're coming at the side, everything. And Harry's getting dragged off. But by the time he's getting dragged off, I've got us against the wall. And there must have been about maybe 40 of us against the wall because it was just coming from everywhere. And I just remember in the middle of like hands and legs going and everything's coming in. I mean, I'm being whacked all over. I just remember seeing Harry going in the back of the car. And I just thought, I looked at him and I thought, you fucking lucky bastard. That's how I thought.
I bet he did as well. I'm safe now. I'm out of all that chaos.
He did actually say to me when I did meet up with him, he was over the moon getting dragged off into the car. And that's what makes it funny. That's what makes it funny, because there's certain things. This is dangerous. You're getting hammered. The lads are getting
absolutely butchered, left, right, behind you, in front of you.
Yeah, getting butchered. And I've got these kids from Wythenshawe, I won't say the names, they know who they are, screaming. Screaming, Tony, save me, and all that, right? And we're getting hammered. I'm also looking after the group, because the group needs to stay together, but this group has suddenly shrunk, you know what I mean? People like Harry's getting off in the best place, you know what I mean? He's having a cup of tea in about half an hour's time in a cop stop, and we're fighting for it, and we've only gone 20, 30 yards, but it was surreal, it was funny. We've not gone on the floor, no one's gone on the floor, so that was good, but we're in a tight ball. Anyway, backs to the wall, and I just remember, I've got these kids from Wythenshawe behind me. They've actually got hold of my collar of my jacket, right? And they've got hold of my waistband and everything because they're holding on, but they're ducking down. But I've got this brown leather on, and I always remember it. I loved it. Absolutely loved this jacket, leather jacket it was.
A prized possession.
Prized possession, and I got it when I was in Amsterdam. United was over there playing Eindhoven, and I remember buying it, and I loved it. Anyway, they're coming into me, and I'm at the front. They've got me, but these kids from Wythenshawe are holding me up. And I mean, literally holding me up. I couldn't go on the floor. I was taking some whacks left, right, everything.
So they're kind of like using you as a shield.
Yeah, but funny, but at one point I was laughing while they were holding me. Even my legs was off the ground. I couldn't go on the floor because they had hold of my body, using my legs and my arms to fend these people off who were coming into me. And the coppers, like, there was just a few coppers running in now and again. And as they went to the right to these Tottenham fans, the Tottenham fans coming from the left, it was just like, I thought, when's this going to stop? Anyway, we tried to move further along because it was like slowing down. And then I realised what's happened. The kids from Wythenshawe got hold of me that tight. They've only ripped my leather jacket from my collar right down to my waistband. So that was me looking a right twat. But they're happy. I've took a right few whacks and that. The one kid what stood out with me all the time, and I've known him all my life, a great kid, Tottenham kid, Robert from Peckham. And his strategy is up, I'm strategy him up, and we're there. And like, you know, we knew the
What, let's go again?
No, like, stay together.
Together, yeah.
Stay together.
Stop still.
We're going to die here, we're going to die, but we're edging our way further. And as people know, as you go down Seven Sisters, at some point you come to, like, I think it's the Overland on the right-hand side, but it's in a side street. And we're edging our way there. But this street is full of Tottenham baying for blood. And like I say, there was only about say 30, 40 of us maximum. I know where I'm going. Robert knows where he's going. We had to get off the street. We had to get off it. But as we come to the corner, copper on horse tried to stop us. Actually tried to stop us getting in the side street to get away from this onslaught. And that's all I can describe it
So
as.
he's trying to push you back into it, this copper.
He tried to stop us getting in the side street to get to safety. I tell you what, bang, straight under.
Yeah.
He tried to stop us getting in it's an overland station, right? People call it a tube station. He's tried to stop us getting in there. We was diving underneath the copper's horse to get in. In the end, he gave up, but we was frantically panicking to get in. We were shattered, and I mean physically shattered, but laughing. We was laughing because we was all looking at each other like, oh God, because we all knew each other. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right, but we were still together, and you can take a good hiding, but still to be together.
Yeah.
But it was part and parcel of Tottenham. I mean, there was people being dragged, and if once say someone had got dragged when we was in no man's land on the corner, there was people disappearing and that, right? And there's no slight on them whatsoever. This was on top. You know what I mean? But it was funny, it was enjoyable, but you get memorable moments. But you would do at 19 years of age. I was one of the main lads, try to keep it together after we'd got under the copper's horse. Like a few got round him and that.
Yeah.
I remember being on the stairs going up. We were sat down and all that, ripped and everything. Robert from Peckham, his top there, like a top Lacoste top, that was ripped and everything. It was funny. But people was on the stairway, shattered, deep breathing and everything, you know what I mean? Right. But laughing, but a little bit of anger as well. Little bit of anger, because we was let down. But in the, when you look back at it, even later on at the night, next day and that, you look back at it, there's no slight on anyone being left in our group. But I just remember it was pure relief, which brought the laughter and that.
Because of how violent it actually was at one point, and to get out of there
alive, without being put in hospital, because that was the next stage. But the relief, the next train what comes in, we're on it. You know what I mean? With no problem. We're getting out of here. We'll get to Euston. As life takes you, shocks come from everywhere, don't they? And we was due another shock. It wouldn't end, because what it was, back in them days, people won't know this. There was late trains, 12 trains from London, like there was at Manchester, the overnight trains and that. It was no problem going to a night game in London, because there was always a train there for you to catch. And people used to come to London, get the 12 train at night to be there early in the morning. It's like the sleeper train. So we had plenty of time. The relief was there, casual. And I'd never experienced what I'd experienced. What I was about to 20 minutes later, getting back to Euston, it came as a bit of a shock, to be honest with you.
What, your mate Harry Hamilton, who got carted off in the police car, he was let out?
No, Harry wasn't let out. I don't think he wanted to get out. Once he'd had his cup of tea, that was him. He was happy. What it was, we got off at, I think it was Euston, and we're walking up the main street, just before where the fire station is, where it is now. I'm not sure if it was there then. Just before you come round the corner, and right out of the side street, Tottenham just come charging at us, big planks of wood and everything. And I actually mouthed the words, "Oh my God, not again, not again." But what it was, we was in no mood to stand and fight. It was like, there's Euston, get there.
Yeah.
There's loads of them. They've got sticks. They've got planks of wood. There's no point here. We've had enough.
Yeah.
Let's just get off. And we just got off. We didn't even entertain it. And, we might have been able to stand and have a scuffle, but we took enough good hidings.
Yeah.
Enough's enough. Do you know what I mean? And we probably would have taken, I think definitely would have took another good hiding. Anyway, they just chased us all the way to the stairways at Euston Railway Station. And once we got on there, they just stopped. Yeah. But that in itself was a shock. But I just look at Tottenham. Tottenham had everything, from a young lad like 13, 14 years of age going there to a lad of 19 in 1979, August. It had everything, and it was the best ground. And it was a feeding ground for everything, for meeting up people, for learning new things and everything, and how to take care of yourself. But also it like, I just look at it and I think, United fans loved it down there, always loved it, and they always went and they always expected trouble, and they give as good as they got. And I mean, there's plenty of times gone down to Tottenham and just give it Tottenham on the high street and everything. And there's plenty of times Tottenham, they've give it us. Do you know what I mean? It was always a battle. You know, there was never any fear or anything going to Tottenham. It was, they know what it's all about.
Both sets of mobs know what they want on that day.
And that was the good thing.
Both mobs know they're going to get what they want, sort of thing.
I think there was always a respect there. Do you know what I mean? Always a respect, because, you know, I've spoke to Tottenham fans and they always respected United fans. They come down and they were always prepared to take it. They always shown. They weren't sort of hiding, going round in little gangs or in a big gang waiting to sneak off down the side street or anything like that. We always came out to face it, because that's what United, no matter what anyone says, that's what United fans do, because it was a tactic, right? We looked after each other, even though people might say we didn't. We did. We came out, we faced it, and that gave the straight member the chance to get away. So once the shout went up, like we did in '79 on the corner, it attracted everyone who was a Tottenham fan, who wanted to get involved in it. They came to where the noise was. So anyone else what was coming out, no matter. Off they go in the darkness, walking away, no problem at all. And that's the way it was. That's how we looked after each other. We faced it, and that was a good thing. Many people have said throughout the 70s and beyond, right? United never shied away from it, and they took slaps. You know, there was plenty of times they took slaps, but they were always there, prepared to take it on. And that was the excitement of the football, especially in the 70s.
Yeah, to be honest with you, listening to you over the course of Series 1 and going into Series 2, what we're currently in, by the sounds of it, if you didn't take a slap or you didn't have a beating at some point in the 70s, my guess is you actually weren't there.
Well, that's right. If you went on a regular basis, okay, let's take out where the government interfered and they brought you tickets and the segregation,
Policies and
restrictions. Take that away. Before that came in, okay, it was just get to wherever you're going, and whatever happened, happened. And I took that motto, whatever happens, happens, right the way through my life. I'm not into all this, what you see in people's YouTube channels or podcasts or anything like that. Organization. It's not me. It's never been me. Everyone what knows me. But what it is, I've always loved going for the unknown, because that's what life's all about.
The fear of the unknown.
The fear of the unknown. That is absolutely what the 70s was to a certain extent. And United always did that. Lots of teams what developed and got organised and that were able to get organised and be a firm because of the restrictions what we're in. And they thrived on organisation, whereas I was brought up and the United fan base was brought up on going, let's just go and the unknown. But as a young lad, that's what life's about. That's where you get the excitement from.
Yeah.
Whatever you do in life, the unknown, having the nounce up there to deal with it. And as I went from an early age going away and that, you learn things. You're always learning. Don't matter. I'm learning things now. But the 70s made you grow up to a man quicker. You're not being a baby. You're not being a mad ass. You're not having anyone wipe your ass and that. There was tough times in the 70s. You know,
I must say as well, though, from hearing off you in previous episodes, it sounds like in the 70s, not just for Manchester United fans, but for young lads up and down the country, there was a real freedom there to get about up and down the country.
Well, that was the thing. Right through the country. It's not just United fans. You know, you got certain from all over
Just
the
in
place.
life in general.
Just in life. It was the search. It was the search for knowledge. You know, that generation, the people.
For excitement, though, as well.
That generation, what was bought middle 50s onwards into the 60s, they wanted something new, and they wanted to get out. Like I say, you know, you was lucky to get one car on 4 streets where I lived. That's how it was, working class area. And the working class man wanted excitement. Everything had changed. Clothing had changed. The music had changed. Everything else like that. And the working class person on the working class estates wanted to get out. And there was no better excitement, right, before the Saturday night, okay, than going out to your local football ground, right, and getting involved in whatever was going on. And I mean whatever. That was thieving, the lot. I mean, going to London, I've not mentioned this before, I'll just mention it now. Going to London, say we was playing on a Saturday, okay, on a Friday night, there was that many cars pinched in Manchester on a Friday night by people who pinched cars to go and watch United in London and dumped in London. You know, that was life, and I'm sure that happened in many other places as well.
Cities up and down the country.
It's just part of the culture. I mean, I don't drive a car, never have done, but even I could break into a car. They were that simple and that. But people used to do it. You know, there used to be so many people from different estates, and it was like just a culture. The clothing was a culture. Everything was changing, but it was madness. And I mean madness because of the amount of freedom we had. When I do look at Tottenham, and I always look at it with a bit of a passion and all that, right? Because it taught me so much, and it gave me so much excitement right through my life. And I met some good people, and I still meet them today, to be honest with you. And I just think to myself, you know, working class people and all that, you didn't always get the same. You know, I know Liverpool and that Merseyside working class and that, but I've described what happens at Merseyside. But I never got that level of violence where they wanted to kill you. I never got that violence
From Tottenham fans.
from Tottenham fans. They want to beat you up. There's sort of like a respect, because the conversations I've had is like, they knew we took it to them. We didn't go there passive. We took it to them, and we expected them to take it to us. You know, and if you won on the day, hands up. If you lost on the day, that's it. But it was all different things. But that 1979 one, you know, when I look back to it, with them grabbing me, that was that generation coming through, experiencing what I'd gone through, and that's how football was right through the 70s.
Yeah, it sounds like maybe as well that day you just described about, you know, getting back to the train station and getting a good hiding, getting like butchered at some points by Tottenham fans.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, that feeling and, you know, being jovial still, you know, having a laugh and the crack amongst your pals. That's probably happened with other football fans as well, when they've had a good hiding going away to other grounds as well.
Yeah, my age group, my generation, I think once they all got back together, it's the same, innit? You get back to the pub, right? And everything what was bad, few pints and you're all laughing about it, you know, you're alive.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes I've said it before, in the 70s, I'd leave the house and go to certain places and think to myself, I might not come home alive here, because that's how dangerous, that's the perception, what you got before you went there, you know what I mean? Until you actually learn what was really going on. That 79 one there, where I describe it there, that weren't the first slap I'd had. Do you know what I mean there? Right? But this was like truly on top. But it was one of the funniest moments, times I've had, because there was moments where everything else sort of went out of sight, where I just pinpointed on one thing, and that's what made it funny.
Yeah.
It's always been there.
Yeah, I've actually really enjoyed this episode. I feel like I want to go on and go on and go on, go through to the 80s, the 90s, 2000s, just purely on Tottenham and your days there. But as you all know out there, this current series, Series 2, is focusing on your times and memories travelling down to watch United at the London club. So hopefully you've enjoyed today's episode. If you have, please let us know in the comment section. But as ever, the most important thing, we want to know your own memories of travelling watching your club during the 70s, and whatever football club you support, just get involved in the comment section. Smash a like on the video as well. And another thing, actually, let us know which team you want us to do next, where you've got some of your memories travelling to watch Manchester United, whether that's West Ham, there's Millwall, there's Arsenal, still
Crystal
to come,
Palace,
Crystal Palace, maybe one or two more as well.
Leighton Orient, first game of the season. There's loads.
There's loads, but let us know what you think and what you want in the next episode. And yeah, the comment with the biggest amount of likes, I suppose. We'll look at doing that in the next episode. But as ever, thanks for joining us, getting involved and watching today. Smash a like on today's video, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.
Thank you.